From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 530 News.
Raging winds tear through south central Montana and north central Wyoming, downing power lines and toppling trees. In some cases, slicing homes in two.
This tree went down through our bedroom.
And tonight, a fast-moving wildfire is burning in Stillwater County, prompting dozens of evacuations. Another fire destroying homes just south of the Montana-Wyoming state line.
It was terrifying.
And those winds are still causing a big mess for both drivers and homeowners. We've got team coverage for you. Your MTN News at 5:30 starts now. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight here on Q2. I'm Kagan Harsha, and that is where we begin tonight. A very dangerous day all across the region as high winds cause all kinds of damage. We begin our team coverage with Casey Conlon in north central Wyoming in the small town of Story, where 95-mile-per-hour wind gusts sent trees toppling onto homes.
One of the biggest stories of these winds is right here in Story, Wyoming. Behind me, this is the scene all across town. These giant ponderosa pines just split in half from up to 92-mile-per-hour gusts. Take a look over this way. This trailer crushed by one of these behemoths, and that's just the beginning of it.
The house shook. It was a horrible boom, and glass, you could hear glass just shatter.
This tree came crashing onto Margot and Eric Ford's roof at 5:33 a.m. Margot knows the exact time because they had gotten up just a half hour earlier after the power went out.
5 o'clock, we were in that room, and our bed is right on the other side of that bay window, so it's definitely God just protecting us.
Some people were even luckier. This is one of the hardest hit homes. Kurt Heiser was watching the news with his dog Pepper this morning when a tree came right through his roof, all the way down into this recliner area. Kurt was in this far one, Pepper sitting right here. One of the branches missed them by just a foot. Kurt didn't want to go on camera, but he and Pepper are doing just fine. This man had a tree go right through his garage and miss his 1976 Corvette by inches. A worker with Montana Dakota Utilities said they'll be restoring power for days here, with winds expected to pick back up. That's why the community spent so much time clearing Tuesday. This husband and wife spent time on their neighbor's property after this tree luckily fell away from the house. Back at the Fords,
I believe it's going to move when you try to do that.
Eric, an Air Force vet, got help from several other vet friends taking the 50-footer off his house. It's just the way of life here.
The funny thing is we have a business with an LLC, and we're like, what do we name it? And we were standing out here one night and we said, oh, Windy Pines. And that's what we named it. Because we live up in Story where it's always windy.
In Story, Wyoming, Casey Conlon, MTN News.
Yeah, just incredible images. Those strong winds also blamed for a fire near Clark, Wyoming, that's south of Belfry, that killed one person and destroyed at least 4 homes. Firefighters believe downed power lines sparked this fire. This is the Line Creek fire. It sparked around 10:15 last night, just west of Highway 120. Strong wind gusts quickly fueled those flames, and that fire burned about 300 acres before crews finally put it out. Susan Woutart could see the glow of the fire from her backyard. The winds even toppling a large camping trailer you see right here that was parked in her driveway.
But last night it picked up my barbecue and put it on its top. It blew my dumpster over, and I have a 1-yard metal dumpster. It blew the fifth wheel over. It was terrifying. Yeah. It was terrifying in lots of ways.
The fire burned several other buildings in addition to those 4 homes that were destroyed. No word yet, though, on the identity of that person who was killed, although the Clark Fire District says the victim was the family member of a firefighter. Well, back here in Montana, 35 families have now been ordered to evacuate their homes after a fast-moving wildfire started late last night near Fishtail, right near Fiddler Creek, southwest of Absaroka. That fire has now burned between 3,000 and 5,000 acres. It remains at 0% containment. The exact cause still unknown. Our own Mitch Laggy is in Fishtail tonight and has the very latest on this very rare November wildfire.
Firefighters in Stillwater County have had their work cut out for them on Tuesday, as strong winds have fueled a fire that sparked on Monday night near Fishtail.
Thick smoke blanketed the otherwise beautiful Stillwater Valley, a strange sight in mid-November.
Yeah, I mean, this way dry up here. I don't know that I've ever seen it really much drier in the 50 years I've lived here.
Rick Young never expected he'd spend his Tuesday here, manning a shelter in Absorki for 35 families that have been forced to evacuate. Wind was raging throughout the morning and afternoon, not doing firefighters any favors. Officials say early morning rain helped the firefighting effort, but the wind came back with a force and increased fire activity.
It was really, really bad. I mean, we must have had 50, 60 mile an hour gusts here off and on all night long, and now again all day today. So, yeah, I mean, I feel sorry for those guys. It's got to be pretty frustrating, as I'm sure there's not much they can do.
No one showed up at the Annapro Arena on Tuesday. Young believes most are staying with family and friends. Those evacuation notices were sent to residents in the area of Fiddler Creek Road and West Rosebud Road to South Fiddler Creek Road. The evacuation area also includes Ingersoll to Roscoe.
Yeah, there's so much of the time that this time of the year we would have moisture, snow on the ground. I mean, it's pretty darn dry.
Firefighters from nearby counties were helping to fight the blaze. Responding agencies included firefighters from Absorki, Columbus, Red Lodge, Nye, Laurel, and Shepherd. Bureau of Land Management, State DNRC, and U.S. Forest Service were also helping out. In Fishtail, Mitch Laggy, MTN News.
And as we head down the road, the wind also caused a lot of damage up in Red Lodge. Check out this picture. This is a car buried under a tree. We also saw an awning ripped right off a building on Main Street. Residents also reported actual benches being blown down the street there, trees falling on top of cars. There are also reports of windows being shattered on several homes. Traveling between Red Lodge and Billings has been difficult all day long, also very dangerous, and you can see why right here. The strong wind gusts actually flipping a semi-truck over on Highway 310 between Laurel and Rockvale early this morning. The Carbon County Sheriff's Office is warning drivers to be careful in that area. In fact, they're suggesting drivers actually detour through Clarks River Road, that's the old highway, rather than take Highway 310. And back here in Billings, multiple flights canceled out at the airport today. We want to bring in Chief Meteorologist Ed McIntosh. I think I speak for all of us, Ed. We're ready for this to go. Let's get out. Let's be done with this.
Can I finally give some good news?
Yes,
there
finally.
Finally. And this was just a few minutes ago. We saw the high wind warning for around Yellowstone County in this area of southeastern Montana expire. Now, the gold shaded areas in through north central and northeastern Montana into the Dakotas means that some of the wind gusts will continue. We're also seeing some stronger wind gusts around Campbell County, Wyoming, around Gillette, that's causing some problems with dust and poor air quality. So here are the winds now. They're really concentrating on the Jordan area over towards Glendive and then over into the Dakotas. As we go tonight heading into tomorrow, the winds start to shift away. Here we are by the time we get into tomorrow afternoon. The eastern plains will still be hard hit. We'll have the rest of the forecast details coming up.
Thanks, Ed. Well, the winds were howling nearly all day, but it did not put a damper on one of our favorite days of the year. Yes, we're talking about Turkey Tuesday. It all began bright and early at 6 o'clock this morning, and the community has once again come out to show their great support. We want to head out to the Q2 parking lot with Alina Howder. As Alina, we had another very successful Turkey Tuesday, and I know we're starting to wrap up here.
Oh yeah, Kagan. This day has truly been a success. Community members have donated mountains of turkeys for the Billings Food Bank, as well as a ton of goodies for Toys for Tots. And even though that wind was howling, that didn't stop those giving hearts.
This has been absolutely incredible today so far.
The wind certainly was gusting, but that didn't stop folks like Polly Taggart from donating.
We're here to bring a turkey and some green beans and some donations for Toys for Tots.
Polly is one out of hundreds of community members that have donated annually to our Turkey Tuesday. Last year, the Billings Food Bank collected 3,000 turkeys, 5,000 pounds of food, and raised over $45,000 in cash, while Toys for Tots received 28,000 toys. These toys were given to almost 8,000 kids, a number that might be even higher this year.
We've surpassed last year by about 5 boxes at this point in the day, and a lot of people are still at work. So I'm anticipating another 4 or 5 boxes before the end of the day.
Many contributors felt the need to give was especially crucial this year because of the ongoing pandemic.
Well, because, everyone in this time of COVID is really struggling, and, I think it's really important that we try to help one another and share our blessings with them.
The wind didn't stop volunteers from contributing their time either. Andy Pickens was more than happy to grab donations.
There's great need in our community for these programs, and I think that it's always important to give back.
And a day of giving back it was. Ron Syons and Linda Dice donated turkeys, toys, and canned goods, all for the simplest of reasons.
Well, just to help people out.
Because
people
we
with tough
can.
times, because we can too, yeah.
Kagan, I know you are ready for an update. So Billings Food Bank received around $40,500 in donations, as well as about 500 turkeys today. Toys for Tots saw about 500 toys that were donated. And I know that I saw some of my favorite holiday foods and some toys, but Kagan, what is yours?
Well, you got to go with, for Thanksgiving, pecan pie, and toys, I'll say anything that keeps my kids from fighting with each other. So those are my answers, but we do want to say thanks so much to everybody that came out today, especially with the winds out there. It's a great community here, and we saw that support once again this year. So thank you to everyone who donated. Well, coming up next on tonight's MTN 530 News on Q2, Montana's Attorney General looks to put a stop to one of President Biden's vaccine mandates, while Park County hopes to see vaccine rates soar as children line up for those first shots. It's all coming up in tonight's Your Health Matters.
From Montana's news leader, you're watching the MTN 530 News.
Montana has joined 11 other states in suing to stop the Biden administration rule requiring most hospitals to have their employees vaccinated against COVID-19. That lawsuit was filed Monday in federal court in Louisiana. Montana Attorney General Austin Knudsen says he's leading that effort to overturn the rule. He says it's not only unconstitutional, it would also worsen the shortage of healthcare workers in Montana by causing many of them to quit or be fired because they won't get vaccinated. The suit says the rule is an unconstitutional overreach of federal power. That November 5th rule says any hospital or healthcare facility that gets funds from Medicare or Medicaid must require all workers to fully be vaccinated against COVID-19 by January 4th. It can also apply to private hospitals, state hospitals, nursing homes, clinics, hospice care, among others. Montana hospitals told MTN News last week that they plan to comply with that new rule, and today Riverstone Health, Billings Clinic, and St. Vincent Healthcare reaffirmed that commitment. The hospital said that in order to ensure they can continue to provide care for tens of thousands of patients, that they are requiring their healthcare workers to get vaccinated. Health officials did say, however, that the interim rule allows for exemptions, and each of the organizations are in the process of collecting and evaluating all of those requests. And over in Park County, the health department there says about 50% of teens have already been vaccinated, and they're hoping for similar results after a clinic held for kids. In tonight's Your Health Matters, MTN's Jane McDonald talks with two young girls as they ready themselves for those very first doses.
In Park County, this is a pretty large vaccination clinic, and this is specifically for children 5 to 11. Now, initially, they thought maybe 100 people would sign up, then that went to 150, and now around 200 people are signed up to get a vaccine.
I was like, I need that, I want that. My mom said it's just like the flu shot, but smaller needle.
Hannah and Addison made their way to the Livingston Fairgrounds before heading over to see a familiar face.
And this is Sue and Holly, who are our school nurses for the Livingston School District. We're a small community. We're rural and sort of micro-urban, or whatever you call it. The more friendly faces, the better. This is our community. We're doing this for each other, and we want that present at every event.
Keeping kids in mind, William, the horse, and his best friend, Hank, came to visit, as well as some therapy dogs and plenty of space to color. But not all work can be seen. Behind these walls, volunteers are busy at work prepping the vaccine.
Just one more step to keep the population safe, and most importantly, keep those kids in school.
We started online, and so what happened was we had to go off-site because nobody would wear a mask. Masks are like the vaccine. If you're scared about flu shots or anything like that, just know, it's just the most tiniest needle.
Now, just behind these walls, the vaccine is being prepped. Now, for a child's dose, it's going to be 0.2 milliliters. For an adult, it's going to be 0.3. In Livingston, Jane McDonald, MTN News.
Up next in weather, once that wind finally leaves, what's going to be moving in? Ed will let us know with his full 7-day forecast right after this.
Storm Tracker weather starts now with meteorologist Ed McIntosh.
Welcome back. Wind by far the big story of the day today, and it's going to start to leave. gradually. Let's go ahead and take a look at the almanac. 65 was the warmest reading. Of course, that was just like around midnight. The temperatures just continued to sink throughout the day. So 40 degrees was the coolest reading we've seen officially at the airport. Here's the big number of the day. 70-mile-per-hour wind gust recorded up at the airport. So the winds around us hitting 60, 70, 80, some cases 90 miles per hour. Now we're down to a 31-mile-per-hour wind gusts in Billings, and the temperatures have cooled down. 37 degrees, and we're continuing to watch those temperatures slide downward. And that's probably really the part of the weather that was overlooked throughout the day with the strong winds. The fact that the temperatures just kept sliding down through the afternoon. You see a few showers starting to develop, cold enough for some snow showers up into the higher elevations. 40 right now in Huntley, 39 in Miles City, 31 at the Lame Deer Divide. So while the temperatures are starting to really chill down, watch this strong upper low up to the north. It's swinging down some of that moisture and creating some snow showers in western Montana, and it's going to bring a little push of moisture across the plains. Now, most of this is going to collide into some pretty dry air, and we're not going to get much of the way of moisture out of it. Strong winds, especially from Billings off towards the east here at this hour. We're still seeing wind gusts of 53 miles an hour in Glendive, 58 last report up in Williston, North Dakota. But the winds are easing up in western and central Montana. So as you can see here with the showers continuing to develop, that low is pushing in the colder air from the north, and that's going to be the big influence that we're going to see into tomorrow. Cold front has passed us. Upper low is well up here into Manitoba, and we'll continue to watch the winds slide off towards the Dakotas during the overnight hours. That's going to leave us chilly first thing in the morning. We're going to look at readings teens, 20s early in the day, and then hold readings into the 30s for most of the highs tomorrow afternoon. Despite some sunshine, the winds will persist a bit for you in eastern Montana through the afternoon and then start to slide out of the picture. A warming trend will start to build in. It's not going to be a huge jump in temperatures, but despite some cloud cover on Thursday, we'll still be looking at the temperatures starting to edge back up. We'll see a lot more readings into the 40s and even some 50s by the time we start getting at least to the end of the work week. So tomorrow morning, expect most of the temperatures to be in the teens and 20s. Still some persistent wind. There's the blue arrows over in the eastern plains showing the winds will persist through the overnight hours. But even still, once we see the evening and overnight hours, the winds start to decouple a little bit from the surface and they won't be quite as gusty. Tomorrow, a lot of 30s and 40s across the region, still showing some of the blue arrows for at least a breezy day. We could still be 50 to 25 miles an hour in the Billings area. The stronger gusts will be over closer towards the Dakotas. And statewide, we'll be looking at those coolish temperatures tomorrow, and the sky starts to clear out. A little bit of sunshine tomorrow will take a little bit of an edge off the temperatures that are a little bit cooler than average. Livingston, Cody, looking at temperatures dropping down tonight and then struggling back up into the 50s by Friday, kind of leveling off as we get into next week with those 40s and 50s for the highs, 20s and 30s for the lows. Miles City and Sheridan looking at temperatures to hold into the 30s tomorrow before we see some warmer days ahead of us. The one exception could be Sunday around Miles City, where you could start to see some colder temperatures build in. We'll be looking at readings to try to warm up a little bit gradually through Friday, a little breezy at times tomorrow, and then those temperatures level off 40s and 50s next week. We've got more after this.
Hi everybody, Scott Breen here with a heavyweight rematch is set for Friday night to decide your AA football championship between West and Missoula Sentinel. This very evenly matched showdown could come down to just 1 foot.
He's in a position that everybody thinks that they can do, but nobody else can.
How about Spencer Berger on a last-minute drive on for his third field goal attempt of the half? Time expiring, nails it.
I ended up getting hurt in 8th grade, and so I ended up picking up kicking and found that, and I just kind of stuck with it, and surprisingly just works.
Oh, it works. Berger has been nearly automatic for Billings West this season on points after touchdown and field goal attempts.
He gets 0 to no coaching, so he does it all by himself.
So how did Berger initially teach himself?
You know, it started off with YouTube, and then I ended up, Rob Gagnon, he worked with me last year, and then I found Dylan Torgerson, who's works with some kickers in state, and they've both just developed me beyond what I ever thought I could do.
5 seconds left in the half. Spencer Berger for his second field goal of the night. Money.
He's a good athlete. You know, he's a wrestler back in the day, and he always used to be in the scout team. He'll run routes for us. When we throw to 3 wide receivers at one time, he's a quarterback.
Yeah, he's also the Bears' punter, which didn't come easily.
Yeah, punting was always one of my big struggles.
Not anymore. Stanton says both his punts and kickoffs are greatly improved. In fact, late in Friday's semifinal win, he booted one that almost went through the uprights, giving Helena no shot at a return.
Everybody thinks they can kick and punt until they actually do it, and we just say go kick the ball and make it, and he usually does.
Hard to beat that. Once again, West and Sentinel Friday night in Missoula for your state AA football championship. Of course, Laurel's home Saturday against Hamilton. We'll set the table for that matchup Thursday. Scott Breen, MTN Sports.
All right, Ed, promise us the wind's done. We're not going to see any more of it.
A turbulent Tuesday. Now we're going to shift gears into just kind of a cool Wednesday. Temperatures will be mainly in the 30s across most of the area and then gradually start to rise from that point on. Then we kind of level off. Sunday could be a little bit on the cool side, but tomorrow expect sunshine, a lot less wind across the area, and then we'll look at those temperatures starting to feel a lot more fall-like, but without the wind.
Yeah, we'll take cool over wind any day of the week. Thanks, Ed. Well, as we wrap up another successful Turkey Tuesday, we want to tell you some of our totals here. In total, more than 350 turkeys were donated today. And in that race between the Cats and the Grizz, you got to pick your team here. The Cats barely had that edge, 147 to 144. I'm not sure those votes were tallied correctly. I think the Grizz probably won in reality. That's going to do it for us, though. Again, thank you so much for turning out to donate for this important cause with us today. A great community we live in. Join us right back here on Q2 tonight at 10. Have a great night, everyone.